We're on Lamed Aleph, 31a, towards the top of the page. We quoted the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that a Vlad Treifa, quoting Rabbi Eliezer, that the offspring of a Treifa animal is not eligible to be offered as a sacrifice. The mother's a Treifa, the offspring is not eligible. That was only the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbanan said that no, it is eligible to be offered as a sacrifice. So we were discussing, there's two options here. Do we say that a treifa can have an offspring? If you say that a treifa has an offspring, so then we can say that it became a treifa, it became pregnant, and it has no offspring. And the machlekes between Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim is if I say Zev Zagorim, the treifa mother caused it, and the father caused it. Do I say Zev Zagorim is Asur or Mutter? That would be the machlekes. Rabbi Eliezer would say Asur. Then we said, but what about according to the other opinion that holds that a treifa cannot have an offspring? So it must be that it became pregnant before it became a treifa. So I can't say Zev Zagorim because the mother wasn't a treifa when it became pregnant. So over there we say that's a machlekes of Uber Yarachima. Is the offspring one organism with the mother? Where the Rabbanan say that it's not, and Rabbi Eliezer says that it is. The mother's a treifa, the offspring's a treifa. Now we're up to Amar Rav Huna. Huna says, "Moedim chacham l'Rabbi Eliezer be'afreich beitzes treifa she'aser." The sages would agree to Rabbi Eliezer by a bird. That means that if there was a treifa bird, not a kosher bird, but it was going to die, and there was a cluster of eggs inside it when it was a treifa, and one of those eggs hatched, it was laying and hatched, and it became a bird, that bird would not be allowed to be offered, even according to the rabbis. In other words, if this scenario was by an animal, the rabbis would say that it is permissible, because the offspring of a treifa mother is fine as in an animal. But Rav Huna is claiming that by a bird, we won't say that. They'll say that it's prohibited. In other words, a bird is worse. There's a stronger connection between the offspring of a bird and an animal. My timer. What's the reason? Ad kan le'palagalad Rabbi Eliezer el bavlad behema de ma'avira karavia. Okay, I'll tell you the words and I'll tell you what I think it means. When does the Chachamim argue with Rabbi Eliezer? That's only by an animal that it grows in the airspace in the womb. Aval beitzes treifa migufa de tarnagolta karavia. But the egg that goes from the body of the chicken of the mother bird. And so afilu rabbanan ma'ida. I think what it means is
it's actually connected to it. So it's like part that's what you were mentioning.
But you could say just the opposite. A fetus of a behemoth is essentially fully grown but stuck inside. When it comes out, it's out, but it's no different than it was a second ago. An egg that comes outside, still has to be sat on, developed. Right. It hasn't even been born yet. Right. So the birthing process isn't until later on.
Right. So exactly that point is what the Gemara is using, but it's not explaining it the way you're saying it. It's using it the opposite. What the Gemara is explaining, what my take on this, is that an animal has a live offspring, live birth, and a bird has lays eggs. So the eggs are very connected to the mother. The eggs are very connected. The eggs are part of the mother. So the development of the egg, the development of the egg itself, not the development of the embryo in the egg, but the development of the egg is one with the mother. So by an egg, we would definitely say that the egg is connected to the mother. And if the mother's a treifa, the egg is a treifa. But when you have a live birth, the live birth, the egg developed. Yes, at the egg stage, it was connected to the mother. Yep, but then it develops another 9 months in the uterus. That's me'avira. That's just being held inside there. That's not so connected to the mother. Over there, I can argue: is it yerachima? Is it not yerachima? It's a separate organism. Over there, there's room to argue. So the Rabbanan say it's not yerachima. It's a separate organism that's growing inside the mother.
Hi, for that, the seahorse would be a raya, because the seahorse male carries the female's
But you follow
Yes.
the logic here? Okay. So it's really making a difference between a live birth or or egg or laying eggs. That's my understanding of it. Does he have a note on that to explain that? Okay. Navira. Okay. Which turn the page? Oh no, it goes a bit.
Good day for Mashiach.
Same thing. Okay. Amalei Rava L'Rav Huna. So let me take a look at the charts here. Just a second. See how this is going to work.
GDFM.
Good day.
Good day for Michigan.
It's a little strange.
Mm-hmm.
Copyright.
No, I know. He said it, but didn't know what he said.
Copyright.
GDFM.
I understood
We'll share
that
the profit.
Rav Huna was the one that made the statement about the bird, that the Chachamim would agree to the bird. Rava is commenting to Rav Huna. It's a little odd, but
It's the opposite.
well,
The age.
there's a generation gap
Right.
there. But unless there were other Rav Hunas, so that's possible. Okay, Rava says to Rav Huna, Tani de Messiah. I'll bring you a raya. Moli tarvid rima habami adam chai. Dr. Stein, you're not going to go for this.
Oh, this is the famous magazine? No,
Close
I'll
your
Okay.
ears, close
just
your
skip it. We'll
Close
be
your
too
ears.
far behind.
Watch this.
No.
The a spoonful of maggots or something that come from a limb that came off a live person. Okay, so Rabbi Eliezer Matame. Rabbi Eliezer considers the maggots to be part of the flesh of the person, and so there's a certain amount of flesh there, and that would give off tumah. It's considered the body. The Chacham say no, that it's not considered the flesh of the person. Now, ad kan lepligi rabban alei brima de pirsha b'almo. Why are the Rabbanan arguing here? That's because it's maggots, and maggots they hold are not part of the person, not part of the flesh. Afal beitza de migufa de tarnagoylasu. But by an egg, even the Rabbanan would agree, Afil Rabbanan Maidu, that is one with the mother. Amalei Abaya. So Abaya says to Rava, Ad Rabbi Ibcham Stab, it's the opposite. Ad kan Rabbi Eliezer alai the Rabbanan el Berima. The Rabbi Eliezer only holds that it's considered part of the body because it's the maggots, it's the worms. The Ikri Adam Mechayim. The Ikri Adam. Dikri Adam Mechayim. How do you have it?
No, the Ikri Adam Mechayim Rima.
Dikri Adam Mechayim Rima. That are, okay.
Yeah, there's
Dikri Adam
actually
Mechayim
an
Rima. That a
awful
person
lot of
is considered a man even while he's alive.
A maggot.
A person is considered a maggot even while he's alive. Diksiv quotes a pasuk in Yiv. Tikvasenish Rima. I mean, is it called? The hope of a man is what does he have to look forward to? To the maggots. Right. Ben Adam Teleya, and a human is a worm. Aval Gabi Bates, but by an egg. Amos. No, it's mentioned there as well, but we're quoting from Job. Amos Gadla. When does the egg grow? That's only after there's a certain. The Gemara considers it a rotting. Welcome.
He thinks he's still on vacation.
Is that what
Get Jeff on the phone.
Is that what he looks like?
I had a chavrusa on Skype, and we would learn whatever regularly. Anyway, he happened to be in town. I saw him by Shachris. So I didn't. After Shachris, he says, "You're not going to tell me Shalom Aleichem?" I said, "No, I saw you this morning." Okay,
Robbie
so
Marlowe's funny.
I'm sorry.
Robbie Marlowe's funny.
So, L'chi misracha, when does the egg develop? When does the embryo develop? That's only after it calls it rotting over here, but it means it's it starts to
Develop.
what's the word for the development of when the egg would turn into
Embryogenesis.
maybe
Whoa.
embryogenesis. When does embryogenesis take place?
No,
That's
this word is right.
I could have made
It rots.
Two things happen simultaneously in an egg.
Uh-huh.
The chick or whatever it is goes stronger, and the egg, the shell, gets weaker and weaker. I know this because the Morale uses this lashon to describe Pesach, so I understand this.
In the Maral?
The shell's getting weaker until the shell is weak enough to be broken through, and the chick is strong enough to break it. So one's getting weaker and one's getting stronger.
Don't we use that
But
same
I think
lashon?
what he wants here is not the shell aspect. He wants to discuss. The Gemara is explaining how the original material that's in the egg is rotting, and a new bird is developing. So it's saying that it's not the old mother thing. What we're looking over here is a totally new organism, because the old one rotted. When does the new one develop? Only when the in this metamorphosis or whatever.
They use
Embryogenesis.
they use the same thinking with a seed.
Right,
In
that
time,
it
right?
rots.
The seed
Right.
rots.
It's a general
brings you
idea,
a drink.
Right.
I mean, that's this
Right.
concept.
So and when it rots, then it becomes nothing. It becomes dirt. So this is a brand new thing. So even Rabbi Eliezer wouldn't hold over here that it's connected to the mother, because it's a brand new thing. Feel Rabbi Eliezer might. He has another question. Tanya Behedya, we have a clear brisa. Exactly the opposite of Rav Huna. Rabbi Eliezer agrees to the Chachamim, admits to the Chachamim that by a bird, we say that the offspring is going to be permissible as a sacrifice. Amalei, so I guess this is Rava that's responding. Is this Rava or Abaya?
Rava says to Abaya.
Rava says to Abaya, Itanya Tanya. If you have a brisa, then you have a brisa. I can't argue with that. If you have logic, I can argue with the logic. Which one is more logical, Rava or Abaya? Which one has like more? There's always like one of them is more sharp, and the other one can quote more. That's usually how it is in these to balance it out. I guess you'll hear tonight by Rabbi Amar.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we have Baya quoting a brisa to Rava, and Rava saying, okay, that's the case. Rabbi Chanina ben Antignos, he said that a kshera, a kosher animal that nursed from a treif animal, then you can't bring that kosher animal on the altar, just because the feed was not kosher. It was the milk from a mother, from a treif animal, is not kosher. So therefore, this offspring was raised by that, and it can't be offered as a sacrifice. The Gemara asks, "My timer, what's the problem? Eily, do you want to say because it got fat?" That's the same Hebrew and English. From it, if you fed it vetch from right, vetch from Avodah Zarah.
The start of Yiddish.
So if it ate vetch from Avodah Zarah, you're going to say that it's usher because it ate that. It ate treif. So big deal. The animal's still kosher. Ella Tani Rab Chanina Trita Kamid Rab Yechanan. Rab Chanina Trita said in front of Rab Yechanan Kain Shehinika Chalav Reiteach Mishachris Lashachris. Hayol V'chel Lamer Lames Leis. It was having milk every morning from this treifa mother, Chalav Reiteach. It's hot milk, boiling milk from the mother. And apparently, this has enough nutrients to sustain it entirely, that it doesn't need any other food, and because of that, its entire feed was from a non-kosher source, so it's considered that it developed from a non-kosher source, and it's not kosher. Tosfos here mentions, well, from Riyata, I feel the Hedyot. He said this should be prohibited. If this is the case, it should be prohibited even for not as a sacrifice. It should be prohibited even to eat for a regular person.
Right.
Now, I think that that kosher livestock needs to be fed. The majority of the feed needs to be kosher.
Oh, that's so
Mm.
interesting.
Birds naturally eat bugs. Chickens eat bugs,
Right.
and a bird you bring on his back definitely eats bugs.
Fish eat worms.
Fish don't go on his back.
I know, but I'm just as long as you get gross.
They eat the fish eat the
Eat
worms when you're
Fish
you're
Fish eat
fishing.
other fish.
They eat, I don't know,
Fish eat
krill
other
and,
fish that are not kosher.
no, whatever, other fish.
I can't do the like.
Okay.
They also eat leftover challah that was stuck in.
Yeah, you should go Rabbi Marlowe's
Whatever
class.
you got.
Matzah and Pesach.
Go Rabbi Marlowe's class. I can throw.
He goes to the beach, he's actually fishing.
Oh,
The Gemara now says, "Kol hakachim shenasa treifim paidin." The Mishnah concluded that you can't redeem a sacrifice if once it's a treifa. Why? In other words, if it has a mum, you can redeem it. Because what are you going to do if it has a mum? You're going to eat it. But if it's a treifa, you can't eat it either. So what do you go? Why are you redeeming it? It's because you want to feed it to the dogs. A treifa it actually says you give to the dogs. So the Gemara says, "Mina hani mili." How do you know that you can't redeem it? The Temurah Daf is taught in the Bais Tizbach. You slaughter it. It says Tizbach v'achalta basar. You slaughter it and you eat it. You eat the flesh. But when it says Tizbach v'lei giza, that means you don't share the wool. You slaughter it, but you don't share the wool. Talking about a sacrifice that has a blemish that can't be offered as a sacrifice. So you're going to redeem it and let it get a mum. Redeem it and you'll treat it as a mundane animal. But there's still certain limitations on that. You can't share the wool from it. V'achalta, you'll eat it. V'lei leklavecha, but not for your dogs. Basar, you eat the flesh. V'lei chalav, but you don't milk it. Mikan, from here we see shem painted sakachim lachilim leklav. That it says clearly v'achalta, that you eat it, not for your dogs. You can't redeem it to feed it to the dogs. Ikadamri, there are those that say, because this is a machlekes, are you allowed to redeem an animal to feed it to the dogs? Tizbach v'achalta, when it says tizbach, you slaughter it and you will eat it. That you're only allowed to begin having benefit from it only from the time of slaughtering. This is coming to exclude that you can't milk it while it's alive. That's how we learned it. And you can't share the wool while it's alive. But what we do see from this is that if that's my whole issue while it's alive, but after it's dead, slaughtered, then I can. And that would be the source of the other opinion, that you can redeem a sacrifice just to feed the flesh to the dog. Yesh. Kachim Mizbeach.
Ooh, brought the Shechina. Really rough it up.
Yesh Bekachim Mizbeach Shem Bekachim Bedek Habayis. Items or animals that are consecrated for the altar, they have certain qualities that are different than if it was consecrated just for the temple. We're going to go through what are the differences. There's different ways of dividing up these things, and this is how we're dividing it up. There's certain qualities that are items that are consecrated for the altar, but not for the temple, but not for the altar, but are different than for the altar. What are these differences? So we go through a list. Shekachim Mizbeach and Temurah. Kachim Mizbeach, if it was consecrated for the altar, that means it's going to be offered as a sacrifice. It can do Temurah. I can say, I may, but I can say.
Answer about coaching that were treifas. How did coaching become treifas? In other words, if it was treifas, it couldn't be designated.
Couldn't have been consecrated.
So we say only one odd little situation that it was possible for it to happen. But you said there was going to be a more.
How does it become
How can I
I think it was when we had a treifa that got lost in the others, and it wasn't noticeable. That was an odd case because
it was really extremely odd because it was not like how can a coaching become treif?
no. Well, an animal could become treif.
No, it can
The
become
question
treif,
is
but how was it concentrated? How was it designated to be coaching if it was treif already?
Oh.
So it had to have
So I
happened.
think we said.
I thought kind of they're waiting for some.
I think we said that if it was consecrated first, then it was consecrated first and then it becomes treif. Is it possible that it could be born treif? Maybe if the mother was consecrated and the child, and it got pregnant after, so the offspring of a karban is, there's ways of working it out. Where it gets even more complicated is when it's a treifa and then it's lost in a group, and we say, 1 second, how do you know it's a treifa?
Right.
You must be aware that it's a treifa.
Right, exactly.
If you have any recognition that it's a treifa, then how did you lose it in a group? You can go and find whatever that thing is. So for that, you need a rare case of it was attacked and we can't find the nail hole from the whatever attacked it or something like that. Okay, so the first thing is that it's Isa Temurah, that Kachim Mizbeach could make Temurah, another animal consecrated. Let's skip the parentheses. And if it's meant to go on the altar, then it has these very strict halachas. If it's wrong intention, when the blood is being sprinkled or slaughtered, there's pigel, he intends to eat the meat after the allotted time. We learned a lot about that. Nicer, if the meat is left over, actually left over for longer than it's meant to be, v'tamei, and if it becomes tamei, or if a person's tamei and eats it, that's a big problem. Or it becomes tamei. Now, Vladan v'chalvan asa. Its offspring and its milk is asa lachar pedyanim, even after it's redeemed. This is a little. We know about the milk because we just learned in the last perek a minute ago that you can't a redeemed sacrifice. You're not supposed to milk the animal or shear the wool. We just learned that.
Right.
But what about the vladan is aser lachar pidyanan? What's going on over here? So Rashi explains, he quotes the Gemara in Bechiras, we're talking about, this is a type of animal that cannot be redeemed because the mother became pregnant before the mother was redeemed. The mother had a mom, but it became pregnant. And so the offspring, when the offspring is born, then that would become a karban. What happened is, became pregnant before it was redeemed. Then the mother gets redeemed. Then it gives birth to this offspring. So this offspring was never redeemed, and we can't redeem it either because the holiness that's on it is not strong enough to be exchanged with it's too weak to be exchanged onto the money that's being used for the redemption. So therefore it has, the holiness is too small to be transferred over to the money. So it just remains in that status of quasi.
It was pregnant while it was?
While it was a karban, but it got redeemed before it was born. So anyway, okay, that's the complicated. That's this case, and there's no redemption. So in other words, we have no.
Why isn't that like the child who was the mother converted and she was pregnant? The child's automatically converted. Why doesn't he not retain it?
One's a child, one's an animal.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, in this case, because the child came out with the mother here is being makrib.
Right.
So he should be.
The problem is that over there we say Hainu Revise. We say that the mother is not a chatzitza between the child and the water, because that's the way that it grows. It grows like anything that's naturally growing like that. It's a little different.
All right, it is different.
If you slaughter a sacrifice outside, then there's outside the temple. It's a big sin. People that are working on the temple cannot be given sacrifices as payment. Kachi Bedek is different. You can pay them with things that were consecrated to the temple fund. There's certain things that are with the Kachi Bedek temple fund things. person doesn't designate what it's going for, it goes to Bedek HaBais, that's temple upkeep. Hektish Bedek HaBais Chalal HaKol. I can make anything consecrated for the temple fund, stones or wood. And what grows out of what was consecrated to the temple fund is also has rules of Me'ila. I can't use it for personal use. It's supposed to say. And there's no benefit to the Kayanim as opposed to, it could be Bailam also, but a sacrifice, the Kayanim get to eat this and that. And over here, the Kayanim don't get anything from it. It goes to the fund. Okay. The Gemara asks, this Gemara actually we've had before in several times, so you follow this Gemara. Is this really a rule? The Kol Kachim Mizbeachis and Temurah, that every sacrifice could make Temurah? Anything that was consecrated, it's not so. Very Yoifis Kachim Mizbeachain. Birds are Kachim Mizbeach, you consecrate them for that altar. Utanana Menachas Vaifas Einis and Temurah, and you can't make Temurah from a meal offering or from a fowl, from bird. So the Gemara says, Kiktani Abehema, we're talking about an animal. Okay. So we just limited the Mishnah to down to an animal. The Gemara says, "Oh, really? An animal? For Vlad kachim mizbeachu, but the offspring of a Temurah of an animal of a sacrifice is also kachim mizbeach. Utanane and Vlad isa Temurah, and we learned that a Vlad, an offspring of a sacrifice, cannot do Temurah. The Gemara says, Hamani Rabbi Yehudi Damar Vlad isa Temurah. No, we're now limiting the Mishnah again. We're going down to one opinion that holds that an offspring of a sacrifice can do Temurah. Really? For a Temurah atzma, the kachim is be'ach, utanan ein Temurah is a Temurah. But Temurah, an animal that was already a Temurah, cannot do another Temurah. You said that every kachim is be'ach can do Temurah. And here we have a case where you can't. The Gemara limits the Mishnah again. It says, Ki ktani ayikir zivcha. We're talking about the original sacrifice. The Gemara says, oh, down to that answer. So hashta dasis lahachi, afil Temurah rabbanan, ki ktani ayikir zivcha. Now I don't need to limit it to Rabbi Yehuda. Once I've limited it to the main sacrifice, original sacrifice, then I can say that it's the mother also, and it's not the offspring, because that's not the main sacrifice.
What was I saying here before? We had a situation where we were trying to argue, and we said, no, but Tanya, that if it comes from a Brisa, we can't argue.
Right.
And now we have a Mishnah, and we're all arguing on the Mishnah.
Oh, so that was a statement by Rav Huna.
Right.
That's an important point. See, Rav Huna, this is the second chart, the later generation. This is Rav Huna. He made a statement. Rava was contesting something that he said, and we had Abaya's explanation. Anyway, Abaya shows up with the Brisa. So Rava says, okay, you have a Brisa. What's the Brisa from? The Brisa is from back here on the Tanaim chart. They're meant to know those, and if they don't, they can get corrected by, the Brisa says this. Okay, the Brisa says that, hands down. Now we're discussing a Mishnah. So in the Mishnah, we want to figure out what is the wording of the Mishnah, what's the explanation. And we're going to, doesn't mean this, it doesn't mean that.
But you can't argue on the Brisa. It's that, hey, you should know the Brisa.
Should have known the Brisa. Once you have the Brisa, naturally they don't argue on the Brisa. That's the... Okay, very nice memlum. Then there's different ways of wording that, because in elementary school we were taught an Amira cannot argue on a Tana, except for Rav. Where it says Rav Tanu Palik. Rav was able to, but then when you get older, you see it's not that they can't argue. I know that they don't argue, but they can't argue is a much bigger statement than they don't argue. It's not so, but it's easier to teach the kids that they can't, and they don't have. Okay, ve'in nice memlum, then you can't give this as a payment to the workers. Kachi bedek habayis nice, then sounds like bedek habayis. You can pay the workers with things that are for the temple fund. It says that you make the temple for me. It says mishali, from my own money. God says the workers get paid with money that was given to the temple. How else are they going to pay the workers? Okay. It's very confusing when you own the temple or any sort of temple. That the money that comes in, the money that goes out, which wallet it is, who's the workers. It's like it gets very complex.
Where's the Gabbai for this?
Right. Right. I see some rabbis have two wallets. And you see them like thinking. They have like the two wallets, and, like take out something and then like thinking and then put it back. This all down. They have to figure out under which, which account. Okay. Yesh b'kotchi bedek abayas chulu. Kotchi bedek abayas has different qualities than kotchi mizbeach. Amar Mar. Master taught. Stomach Deshus Lebedek Abayas. Again, we quote the Mishnah. This is our third time. We're quoting the Mishnah and we're saying Amar Mar. It's surprising. So, if a person doesn't designate what it's going for, it goes to the temple fund. And also, you can consecrate anything for the temple fund. Man Tana. Who's the author of this? Amar Rabbi Barabba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Barabba says the name of Rabbi Yochanan is very common. Rabbi Barabba is a student of Rabbi Yochanan. He was the student that reviewed all of Rabbi Yochanan's teachings every 30 days in front of Rabbi Yochanan. So it was considered very accurate. He says the name of Rabbi Yochanan, like Rabbi Yeshua. It doesn't go according to Rabbi Yeshua. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Hamakdish nechasav. If someone consecrates his possessions, v'haya ben behema. Ruya legabi mizbeach zecharim menachem. There were animals. V'haya ben behema. I guess that's a plural. That were eligible for the altar, and they're male and female. So Rabbi Eliezer says zechar